Hello there. In this video I'm going to show you how easy it is using Fluid Designer for 3D printing to make this personalised heart earring. We personalised it with a Harrington font A in it, and we've put this little computer mouse in there as well. And we're going to do that, as I say, in Fluid Designer for 3D printing. We're going to use a number of objects. First object we're going to use is in 3D templates connectors. We're going to use this wire connector with a 1.5mm diameter hole. That's for the fish hook to go through. I'm going to use a Harrington font. In this case, I'm going to use Harrington font letter A, so that's alphabet Harrington fonts folder. I'm just clicking group library there just to refresh this file list. Now, there are some wingdings patterns 1 and 2. As per on your keyboard in Windows, special symbols that appear, and I'm going to use Wingdings 08, this mouse, but as you can see there are lots of other Wingdings patterns available as well, and they all work in the same way. And I'm going to add those various items to a heart pattern. And as you can see again in this folder here, the hearts patterns folder, there are a number of different hearts that I can use. I'm going to use heart 015, but I could of course use any of the others. So I'm just going to drag and drop that object onto the workspace. I'll just switch on screencast keys, so key presses I make should be displayed down here, and just open up the properties panel here. The thickness of this object at the moment is 1mm by 2mm deep. Now this is a parametric smart object, so we could make it deeper, but that's not a good idea if you're making earrings. I'm going to set it down to 1mm by 1mm deep. That will reduce the weight, enable us to make an earring. So if I go to view and top view now, I'm going to first of all add on my connector, so that's this 1.5mm diameter hole wire connector here from 3D templates connectors. So what I do is I go to file and append, just go up through the menu system until you get to groups, and then we look for the folder 3D templates connectors. I want a wire connector with a 1.5mm diameter hole, and I just append that object from the library and click on it to make sure it's selected, and I'm just going to leave it there for the moment because I've got some other objects to place in here. So I'll just click group library again to refresh this folder list. I want to use a Harrington font here. I'm going to use lowercase letter A, so I just go to file and append. Again, just go up through the menu system until you get to the groups folder. I'm now looking for patterns alphabet Harrington font, and I want lowercase letter A, and we always append the object. So it's the Harrington font A object, and we append that from the library. Now I need to position this in a suitable place, and you can obviously, as you can see, you can move it around wherever you want. I'm just going to leave it there for a second. And the last thing that I want to append is from the Wingdings folder, and as I say, I'm going to add this computer mouse. So I need to know the name of it. It's Wingdings 08 is what I'm looking for. And so I go to File and Append again. Just go up through the menu system until you get to Groups. Now there's two Wingdings. We want Wingdings on its own, not Wingdings 2. And I want Wingdings 08. As I say, these are keyboard presses you can make in Microsoft Windows. So I just append that object from the library, and you can see there it is, I've got the mouse. Now when I click on it, you can see that this object's quite big at the moment. So one of the things I want to do is I want to scale it down in size. So if I press S on the keyboard, I can scale that down. Now when you do scale in Fluid Designer, because these are smart objects, you do need to apply the scale. You need to do Control A and apply the scale, and notice the thickness will be reapplied as you do that. So I'm just going to move that across to there, and where you position this is entirely up to you. I could scale the letter A down. I'm not in this instance, I'm going to leave it, but what I am going to do is to move the arrowhead of this heart shape, and I do that by selecting the heart I press the tab key to go into edit mode, and I'm going to use circle select, and I'm just scrolling out the center mouse button, and I'm just going to highlight those control points there at the end of the arrowhead. Press escape to come out of that, and I'm just going to switch off snap because this will just give me a better control, and I press G on the keyboard to grab that, and I'm going to reposition the arrowhead there. I think it's entirely up to you where you decide to leave it, and I can then come out of edit mode. Now what I want to do now is to zoom in, and I want to reposition this. If I just zoom in really closely, the grid will change, and if I switch on wireframe, I can see where the bottom of that is, and it's in the middle now. That's alright. So what I want to do now is to join all these objects together. So if I hold down if I highlight the computer mouse and highlight the letter A, I can join those together. If I now hold down the shift key and highlight the heart shape, and remember the heart shape's got a different thickness, when I go to Tools, Object Tools and Join, notice the letter A and the heart and the mouse take on the same cross section, that's 1 by 1, as the heart, and that's important. That's because we want to keep the weight down. And if I highlight the connector now and then hold the shift key down and highlight the heart and go to Tools, Object Tools, Join, notice that the connector is also now 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. It takes on the same properties as the heart. And that's essentially all you need to do in Fluid Designer. Join the objects together. And what I would do now is I would go to File and export it. I tend to use the Wavefront OBJ format rather than STL, and save it to the desktop. And I save this with the name Personalised Mouse Heart Earring. And what you then do is you must go to Netfab Basic and just run the repair procedure there. I mean, I have obviously already done this, but you just click Automatic Repair and Execute, and apply the repair and remove the old parts, and there's your file for sending to Shapeways or for 3D printing, and you then export it as a Wavefront OBJ format as a personalised mouse heart earring. And over here we can see what the volume of this is, and the volume is 0.27 centimeters cubed. Now if I move the decimal point one place to the right, it becomes 2.7, and that roughly equates to 2.7 grams if we make this in silver. So the volume gives you an indication of the weight of this object. If you wanted to reduce that volume, you could scale these objects down a little bit further. And that's it. If you want us to actually create one for you and personalise it, you can do through Shapeways or through our website at fluiddesigner.co.uk. Thank you.